Hello, welcome to our yin practice. I'm Erin. I'll be taking you through class this evening. We're going to start tonight in child's pose. We'll be here for a few minutes, so you might want some kind of support underneath your body, a bolster, or some stacked up blankets. So go ahead and get whatever you want set up on your mat. And then finding that extended child's pose shape, knees wide, toes touching, arms out long in front of you. And allowing the forehead or a cheek to come down to your mat or prop. Perhaps closing the eyes. Starting to deepen the breath. Feeling the belly soft, rising and falling with each inhale and exhale. Using that attention on the breath to start to bring the awareness into the inner sensations of the body. The activity of the mind. For now, simply observing what's there without trying to change it. Noticing where the body connects to the floor, grounding through the palms, forehead, tops of the shins and feet. Drawing a deep inhale through the nose, feeling the belly, rib cage, and chest. Open mouth exhale, releasing tension. Starting to intentionally lengthen the breath out. We'll begin to inhale through the nose to a count of 4, and exhale out the nose to a count of 4, creating this equal part breath. Feeling or imagining the heart shine through the backs of the shoulder blades. and the front of the chest. Sending that energy down into the earth and out into the world. Using an inhale, we'll start to walk right fingertips toward the right side of the mat. Perhaps moving props out of the way if you need to, in order to find this side body opening. Feeling that lengthen from the left hip all the way through the left pinky. Take 2 more full breaths here. And using an inhale to walk back through center. And then exhale, hands move over to the left. And finding that length through the right side of the body. Two rounds of breath. And then walking hands back into the center of the mat. With an inhale, we'll slither forward onto the belly. And here we have an option to either take Sphinx pose or crocodile pose. And in our Sphinx pose, we can use the block to support the forehead for a more restorative posture. And keep the head elevated, or take crocodile, stacking forearms or hands and letting the forehead rest on the arms, letting the lower body relax. Feeling the heart space shine out through the rib cage in whatever shape you've taken. Finding your last 2 breaths. And then eventually sliding palms underneath the shoulders. Pressing back up into a tabletop. Just moving through hands and knees to set up for our next shape. We're going to take frog pose next. This can be a very intense opening for the inner thighs. So a lot of people might want some kind of prop underneath the body, and it might be more comfortable to do this the long way on your mat and have the upper body drape out over, just so that there's some cushioning under the knees, or you could, if you have extra blankets, place them on either side. So we'll set up our upper body support and then bringing it in like right by the knees. Take knees wide, toes will point away from the body, so we have kind of a 90-degree bend in the knees here, and then drape upper body over your bolster or blankets. And choosing the intensity here, the higher your props are stacked, the gentler this will be. You want to try to keep the hips in line with the knees, adding support closer to the hips. We'll also take some of the intensity and depth of stretch out of the inner thighs and sliding that support away from the hips so that there is less underneath them. We'll make this stretch a little bit deeper. Finding your frog pose, and maybe stacking up forearms to allow the forehead to rest, or bringing it to rest on the floor, or staying up on elbows. Sending breath into the hips. Continuing to turn inward, keeping the breath full. Breathing through sensation. Two more rounds of breath in frog pose. And then once again, bringing palms underneath the shoulders, starting to press the upper body back up so that you can walk the knees back in together. And pause, sit back on the heels in hero's pose for a minute. Just allowing the effects of that posture to settle into the body. And then from here, make our way onto sits bones, being an easy cross-legged seat. And then sending the right leg out long, left foot stays in. We'll turn to face the torso towards that right foot, toes flex back towards the upper body, and then exhale, start to round over right leg, keeping a gentle bend in the knee. Option to support that leg with a prop. Finding that fold over the right leg. Starting to let the shoulders and upper back drape over the knee. Noticing if you're holding tension anywhere in the body. Sending your exhales to those places to release that holding. Finding another 2 full breaths. Preparing to come out on an inhale, pressing hands into the earth to move back up to a tall seat. And then switching out the legs. Left leg long. Moving your props to wherever they need to be, and then turning to face chest towards those left toes with an exhale, folding over that leg. Last 2 breaths here. Grounding palms, using an inhale to press back up to a tall seat. Then releasing both legs out long, rocking back onto hands. We'll just take some windshield wipers with the knees. Countering some of that deep opening and release. And as you're ready, we'll rock forward onto hands and knees, tabletop. Just moving through this shape briefly, we'll draw the right knee up towards the right wrist, setting up for pigeon pose, bringing that shin away from the hips, sending left leg long behind us. Starting to fold over the right leg. Two more breaths on this side of pigeon. And then if you've rounded forward, pressing the upper body back up, regrounding palms so that you can release the right leg back, finding that tabletop position, and then setting up for your second side, drawing left knee up towards left wrist, and the left ankle towards right wrist, sending right leg long, setting up any props under the hips or anywhere else, perhaps under the upper body, and then starting to round forward. Sending breath into the outer left hip. Again, noticing anywhere that you're holding or clenching, trying to allow that to soften and release. Last 2 breaths in our pigeon pose. Using an inhale to move back up to a tall seat. Releasing the left leg back to tabletop. Just take some organic movement here. Maybe a few cat-cows. Or roll through the spine. Shifting forward and back. Just doing whatever would feel good. And then eventually from here, making our way onto our backs. Keeping a block nearby. We'll bend the knees, plant the soles of the feet in close to the hips. Grounding through the soles of both feet. With an inhale, we'll start to roll the spine up towards the sky. Arms circle overhead. Bridge pose. Exhale to roll everything back down to the ground. Inhale to lift one vertebrae at a time. Exhale to lower. Last time, inhale to lift. This time we'll hold and grab our block, choosing either the low or medium height. And just slide it right underneath the hips and the sacrum. Finding a spot that feels stable and supportive. And bringing arms to release alongside the body, palms face up to receive energy, face down to ground, whatever you feel you need today. We'll take our last 2 breaths in our supported bridge. And pressing into the heels once again. With an inhale, we'll lift hips away from our block, pulling it out from under us, and then exhale, roll the spine down to the ground. 1 vertebrae at a time. From here, we'll hug knees in towards the chest, wrapping arms around the shins, giving them a little squeeze. Just making some small circles, massaging out the lower back. Switching directions. And stack knees over hips, shins parallel to the ceiling, 90-degree bend in the legs. We'll exhale to drop both knees over towards the right, maybe bringing arms out to a T or a cactus, finding a supine twist. Gaze can start to fall towards left fingertips. Maybe closing the eyes here. We'll be on our backs for the rest of class. So if you want to start really bringing that energy and attention back inward, closing the eyes can assist you with that. Next inhale, we'll draw knees back through center. And then exhale to drop them over to the left, taking that twist on the other side. Choosing whether you bring the head and neck into this or keep gaze up towards the ceiling. Inhale, draw knees back to center. Exhale to send legs out long. Arms come overhead. And then we'll walk hands and feet over toward the right corners of the mat, finding banana pose. Side stretch. The left side body. Keeping shoulders grounded. Inhaling to bring hands and feet back to center. Exhaling, walking them over towards the left corners of the mat, taking that banana pose on the second side. Gentle side body opening. Letting everything soften and release. Next inhale, walks hands and feet back to center. And exhale to release arms alongside the body. If there are any last shapes or movements you want to take before finding your final resting pose, I invite you to do so now. Otherwise, if you're ready to move into Shavasana, setting yourself up however you would like, using props, blankets, finding a shape where you can be comfortable and find stillness for these last few minutes of class. starting to deepen the breath, bringing that little bit of energy and movement back into the body, rolling out wrists and ankles, rocking the head side to side. Inhaling arms overhead for a full body stretch. And then exhaling to roll to either side, pausing in a fetal position, and taking a few breaths to transition. Eventually pressing yourself back up to a seat. Eyes can stay closed. Exhaling all the air out of the lungs, drawing belly button in towards the spine, then inhaling deeply through the nose, filling belly, rib cage, and chest. Then exhale out the mouth, open mouth sigh. Bringing hands to prayer position, heart center. And then lifting thumbs to third eye center. With an exhale, we bow forward. Namaste.